Thanks for joining us. The kids are back to school. We're back to work talking about the weather. Nicole Karkic, Gary Archibald for your evening edition. And speaking of the kids going back to school, I remember this time really well, that orientation. Take a look at this.
Well, quite the story for us across the country today. In the west, we've seen warm conditions, but towards the east, it's been very cold, frigid. In fact, we have frost warnings in place around Chapleau. Early this morning, Timmins was sitting around -3. We actually broke a record for low temperatures. Now, for this evening and through the overnight, we're still going to see high pressure in place towards the north, but this pushing up, this moisture is Tropical Storm Lee's remnants. So this is just the low that's bringing us isolated showers in through Windsor, Toronto on Wednesday and on Thursday as well. So the key word is isolated. It's not going to be an all-day rain, but the thing is it's still going to be quite cold. 18 degrees towards Barrie, 17 in Toronto, and we'll see cold northeast winds sustained at about 25 to 30 kilometers an hour. So gusting stronger than that, you're definitely going to feel it out there. Towards the north, we have high pressure in place. Quite a different story. Sunshine. It is warming up in through Thunder Bay by the afternoon. 26, Wawa 19 for you. We also have frost warnings in through parts of the Maritimes, particularly in through northern New Brunswick. Edmundston, you're included in that. And for Newfoundland, we have a rainfall warning, which could mean an additional 20 millimeters of rain. The bulk of the moisture has already been picked up. Some places have seen over 60 millimeters of rain. And it does continue in through Newfoundland for the overnight hours. It clears out and through the Maritimes, but you're still going to be quite cool as we head into your Wednesday. Below seasonal by a few degrees, not too bad, but then we start to see the cloud cover increasing on Thursday, and this is when you get the remnants of Tropical Storm Lee pushing towards you. So look at our rainfall totals here. These are additional amounts to what we've seen in through Newfoundland, and temperature-wise, we are cooling down in Newfoundland. Today we got up to 23, tomorrow not so promising. Halifax 19 degrees for you, but quite a difference here. It's completely a different story. 33 degrees in through Saskatoon, 28 in through Winnipeg. The most active weather is along the coast of BC, where we have a rainfall warning. That could bring us about 100 millimeters through some parts. Well, for this week in this long-range forecast, pretty much there's a big divide between the west and the east. The west is very hot and humid and dry, but towards the east, that's where the active weather is. So we'll focus on that here. Southern Ontario, rain for Toronto towards Ottawa, and Montreal to St. John's. You'll be about 13 degrees for your Wednesday, so that's cool. But we're hot on Wednesday and on Thursday and on Friday in the west, and this is from northwestern Ontario right across and through the lower mainland. And hot means about 30 degrees in through Regina, Winnipeg as well. For Thursday and Friday and through Vancouver, we're sitting around 24 degrees. But the sunshine, it really just doesn't quit for us in the west. But in the east, Friday, chance of showers in through southwestern Ontario. And we have our eye on Tropical Storm Katia potentially impacting Atlantic Canada with very strong winds and quite a bit of rain towards Nova Scotia and potentially Newfoundland too. But we'll keep our eye on the track to see how it progresses each and every day this week. On Saturday, looks to be clearing out in the east. Newfoundland could be affected by Katia by then. Still warm in the west. What's happening now? You guessed it. We're counting down to your local forecast. They start in less than 51 seconds from right now, but quickly, we're going to take a little trip across the country. We'll start off in the east. Montreal, 18 degrees on your Wednesday. We don't warm up into your Thursday. And for Halifax, below seasonal for us, really, in through the Maritime provinces this week until we end it off on Friday when we're closer to the 20-degree mark. Toronto, 17 degrees on Wednesday. We'll see a little bit of rain. Ottawa, 18 degrees for you, also quite rainy. And Thursday's unsettled too, but not as wet as we'll see on Wednesday. We'll look at the big difference here as we head towards the Prairie provinces and in through the west. Saskatoon, 33 degrees on your Wednesday. That is 13 degrees above where we should be for this time of year. We see the sunshine, and the sunshine just extends towards BC too. Vancouver, 25 degrees, 28 on Thursday for you. Stay tuned for your local forecast right now. Well, for the kids who went back to school today around Winnipeg, it reached a high of about 30 degrees, but quite a contrast as we move towards Toronto. Definitely some good tips to keep in mind. Now, Check this out. We have a frost warning in place around Chapleau in northern Ontario. Also in the east around Edmundston, northern New Brunswick, seeing cool conditions. And with that high pressure in place, it can't keep any of the heat in that we saw during the day. And we didn't see much heat in the east. Rainfall warning in place on the western shores of Newfoundland. We could pick up an additional 20 millimeters of rain. This is on top of rainfall totals we've already had. Deer Lake, you've picked up 64 millimeters. And just a quick look here at the additional amounts expected through your Wednesday morning. So it's cool and unsettled in the east. We see that here in Toronto, 17 degrees, Montreal 18 degrees for you, but it's rainy. But towards the west, a totally different story. Calgary, 29 degrees. Vancouver, you'll be seasonably warm at 25 degrees. And as we look at Edmonton, 30 degrees, and we'll see really hot conditions continuing in your long-range forecast only in the west. Stay tuned. Gary, it just looks so sad there with the arena completely empty. Now, through Friday along the eastern seaboard, they are going to continue to see precipitation because of the remnants of what was Tropical Storm Lee. So notice around New York, they could pick up an additional 50 to 150 millimeters of rain. And we are going to see a little bit of Tropical Storm Lee, or the remnants of it. And I'll give you those details in a moment. But there is a frost warning in place in northern Ontario around Chapleau for the overnight. So we have the high pressure in place towards the north, but there's the remnants of Lee bringing us showers towards Windsor, the greater Toronto region, extending towards Ottawa and Montreal for your Wednesday. And also Thursday looks to be unsettled too. But in southern Ontario, Wednesday is the greatest chance of seeing the precipitation. So give yourself a little extra time on the roads. They're busier now with the kids back in school, and with the rain in the morning for Toronto tomorrow, could be a little bit slow going. 17 degrees in through Toronto tomorrow. That's below seasonal. Thunder Bay, 26 for you with the sunshine. And also high pressure in place in the east is yielding this frost warning for Edmundston. And we're picking up an additional 20 millimeters of rain in through the western shores of Newfoundland. And also we're seeing a cool down as well, especially in through the Avalon Peninsula by tomorrow.
This long-range forecast is brought to you by Greenworks.
Well, for this week in this long-range forecast, pretty much there's a big divide between the west and the east. The west is very hot and humid and dry, but towards the east, that's where the active weather is. So we'll focus on that here. Southern Ontario, rain for Toronto towards Ottawa, and Montreal to St. John's, you'll be about 13 degrees for your Wednesday. So that's cool. But we're hot on Wednesday and on Thursday and on Friday in the west. And this is from northwestern Ontario right across and through the lower mainland. And hot means about 30 degrees in through Regina, Winnipeg as well. For Thursday and Friday and through Vancouver, we're sitting around 24 degrees. But the sunshine, it really just doesn't quit for us in the west. But in the east, Friday, chance of showers in through southwestern Ontario. And we have our eye on Tropical Storm Katia potentially impacting Atlantic Canada with very strong winds and quite a bit of rain towards Nova Scotia and potentially Newfoundland too. But we'll keep our eye on the track to see how it progresses each and every day this week. On Saturday, looks to be clearing out in the east. Newfoundland could be affected by Katia by then. Still warm in the west. If you're traveling through northern Ontario tonight, you're probably going to have the heat on in the car. Chapleau, earlier this morning, you were sitting around minus 1.4. Into the overnight, we have a frost warning in place for you there. Also a frost warning in the east in through the Maritimes provinces around Edmundston, so particularly in through northern New Brunswick where we have high pressure in place, so we don't have the clouds to keep any of the heat in the atmosphere through the overnight. Rainfall warnings on the western shores of Newfoundland. This is an additional 20 millimeters of rain, but check out these numbers. This is what we've seen over the last 2 days, so pretty impressive for us in the east. And then a look at how much more we can expect till Wednesday morning. In terms of our conditions across the country Wednesday, you can really just cut the country in half right here around Thunder Bay, because we have Toronto at 17 degrees and cool temperatures in the east, but then towards the west, Winnipeg 28, Regina 31, Edmonton up to 30 degrees for you, Vancouver 25 degrees, and on Thursday a similar pattern persists, although temperatures warm up in Ontario.